jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Rick flaring, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing. Not at all scary. When I open like Betty Wops, they find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase, yeah, Bubba C, yeah, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring, sun up, baby.
Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at. No cap if the Brody is speaking the soft facts. My advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he offered the least. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walk it, cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Scotty, and you already know it's a happy Monday. Listen, if you at work, you know what I'm saying, you at your lunch break, you're doing what you're doing, but watch your shoes. You're already watching Offscript Live. You know what I'm saying? We're talking today about the Southern Jaguars. Okay, we're talking about Southern Jaguars. All right, before I get into that, make sure you tune in today, 5 o'clock. I got the week 3 review and the Baller Awards. And at 8 o'clock, you already know it's the Afterglow Show. All right, but without further ado, my special guest today, co-host of the Jaguar Journal. Give it up for Barry White. What's up, P? Talk to me.
What's going on, Scotty? It's been a while since you and I had an opportunity.
It has. But it's nothing better than seeing you on a Monday on a Southern loss. There is nothing better than seeing you, all things Southern, on a Southern loss.
It's going to be all right.
It's been a rough weekend. Man.
It was a rough weekend, man. Traveling over to Arlington, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, man. I know you know that area well, don't you?
I surely do. Yes, sir, I do.
You know, so going out there and Southern taking on Texas Southern, and it definitely was not the outcome I think a lot of Jaguar fans and a lot of people around the SWAC thought they were going to hear when they looked at the scores. You know, the only thing I could think about, Scotty, was at anybody's stadium when they announced that score and you heard Texas Southern 24, Southern 0. That's one of the ones that makes the crowd say, they say, woo!
Hey, no, they didn't. They shut them boys out. Listen, man, it's been a tough week. It's been a tough weekend for Southern fans. And I know there's a lot of them. A lot of emotional people out there. It's a lot of emotional people out there. But before we get into some topics, you know, they had the coaches call right before we came on. I have a clip of a few things that Coach Dooley said, and I want to get your opinions on it going forward. So let me bring this up real quick. Now, you know how they start. They always start with the outing. Talk a little bit about the outing of the game that you just played. So here we go.
I do see Coach there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Doing great, Coach. Appreciate your patience. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Texas.
Yeah, went into our first SWAC game. Needless to say, very, very disappointed. But a team that we faced a team that was very, very hungry and played some sound football and did their job. But I'm still disappointed in the outcome of what we should have done. Didn't play our best ball game. Had nothing to do with Texas Southern playing a good game. I just didn't feel we played our Jaguar football. But needless to say, didn't come out on top of that game. No, I did not. I thought he did some things. Sometimes you got to go through some growing pains. But, you know, when you look at the film, you would say, why replace him? What are we replacing him for? We just stand, we look at turnovers, and sometimes it's clearly not that person who turned the ball over unless it's able. So just through our coaching staff, I thought we had great eyes out on the field, and we trust our eyes, so we felt that was the best for us.
And if I may, one more.
What? Okay. That was Dooley response. I only took a short clip and some other stuff that came in there. You can go back. You can watch if you want to watch the full thing. It's on HBCU Sports, as well as my boy Blue is going to be dropping clips as well. But HBCU Sports plays the whole thing. All right. So the first part of that, talking about the outing, he said it had nothing to do with what Texas Southern did. It was all on Southern's execution of the lack thereof. What do you say to that, P?
You know, I actually had to go back and check out Texas Southern's defense in terms of, you know, what they've been able to give up and what they've been able to take from teams. You know, and although Texas Southern gave up a lot of yards on the ground, and I thought that was the recipe for success to beat Texas Southern. When you look at their last two opponents, Prairie View, that first game, Prairie View only completed 2 passes in that ball game, just 2, but they had success on the ground running for 394 yards. Then you look at Texas Southern's last opponent, North Texas. They completed a lot more passes than 2, but you look at the success that they had on the ground. Absolutely. 348 yards on the ground. You're talking 700-plus yards in 2 games to start the season that this defense is giving up on the ground. But then I had to look at something else in terms of the turnovers. Although Texas Southern's defense has given up a lot of yards on the ground, they have forced a lot of turnovers. 7 turnovers in 3 games, 3 of them against Prairie View, in which 2 was an interception and a fumble. 1 against North Texas, in which it was an interception, and 3 turnovers against Southern, in which all were interceptions. That's a lot of interceptions that this defense is showing that they're able to get.
Yeah.
That's 7 turnovers that they were able to get total, and those 6 by way of interception. So for me, the game plan, if you notice what they were able to do in terms of defenses being able to create turnovers by way of interception, and nobody can stop them running the ball. I mean, you can't be stopped running the ball against them. Why not run the ball? I thought that was the recipe for success in order to beat Texas Southern. I think we put ourselves in situations against this team, especially with the passing game. We know Dooley is a guy that likes to sling the ball around the yard. I think something that hurt us in this ball game, Scotty, was the difference between the horizontal passing game and the vertical passing game. I thought we committed a lot to the horizontal passing game, but receivers wasn't on the outside doing enough to block and give those receivers that one-on-one with the defender. As receivers was getting the ball, the defenders was already in their face. And then when you start to see late in the game, the vertical game, receivers getting past Texas Southern's DBs, they were there and open. But unfortunately, Bashawn McCray wasn't quite able in terms of his accuracy and pinpoint the ball directly to the receivers. You saw that. You saw it being open, but I think the commitment to that was a little too late in the game. I think this one falls strictly on coaching. A lot of people are saying, you know, the players, they left plays on the field. We saw drop passes. We saw a lot of penalties. But for me, that's coaching. That's preparation. And the game isn't always the physical aspect in which people want to say, well, on paper, you have the better talent. On paper, it seems you should win this game. The mental aspect plays a large part into going into a game. And mentally, for me looking at this sideline live at the game, mentally, I did not see the energy of a team that is poised to be a championship contender team. I saw it on the other side, and that does not make Texas Southern a championship contending team, but I saw the energy that lied within their team compared to what I saw with Southern.
If you're telling me that coaching is mental, how can a coach that had a player throw 3 picks, that went 18 of 30 for 163 yards with 3 interceptions, not get pulled? That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're telling me that this game is mental, you're dropping it on coaching. And I said this, and I want to pull up a comment. This is even worse. You had 200 yards rushing on LSU, and you come into Texas Southern, and you decide to throw the ball around. Doesn't make sense to me. Gerard Sims was a man amongst boys in that LSU game. I mean, he looked like he's not supposed to be at Southern. I'll say that. You know what I'm saying? That game really put him on the map, and you come into a game like you gave all the stats. All their turnovers have come off of the ball being in the air. The worst, all their losses have come with teams running the ball on the ground. So if it comes down to coaching, if it's a mental game, if we're all looking at the same stats, how do you come out with a game plan that have Bashawn McCray throw the ball 30 times?
And in that same game plan that we're talking about in terms of success, the last 2 opponents that Texas Southern has played total on the season, they've given up 99 points. 40 to Prairie View, 59 to North Texas. 99 total points, and you go in and you get 0 because the success to beat them and score points was there. Run the ball. They have created turnovers. It's not there. Texas Southern secondary has done a good job in terms of doing that.
Okay, let's look at these stats. Let's look at these stats that I have brought up. You have 163 yards, identical. These are you guys both had 352 yards. It seems like, if we're being honest, the game came down to turnovers. If we want to be a whole buck about it, it came down to turnovers and then putting the ball in the end zone, and you guys being in the red zone and not capitalizing as well. Let me get this banner down, right? So you go 18 for 30, 3 interceptions. You rush the ball 40 times, 4.7 yards a carry. And if I'm being honest, Bashawn McCray, and if I take it to another stat, Bashawn McCray is your leading rusher. He's your leading rusher. So, I mean, did you really ever commit to the rush? Because these weren't, I promise you, they weren't 16 called run plays. I tell you that. It was Michelle McCray patting the ball, staring somebody down, and then taking off running.
And even more so, I know you say the turnovers played a huge part, but I think it's an area that a lot of people are not paying attention to. Yeah, the 3 interceptions were costly, but you know what was even more costly? The 3rd down and 4th down efficiency in this game. Southern going 5 of 14 on 3rd down, 0 of 4 on 4th down. And those were all within the red zone. That is tough for a team when you go for it on 4 times on 4th down and don't convert any of them, and then only getting 5 of 14 on 3rd down conversions. And a lot of those 3rds down, we were looking at 3rd and long when you look back at this game.
I think the most confusing thing to me out this whole game, it was Bashaw. One of them was Bashaw McCray staying in the game after halftime. That was confusing to me. The biggest thing was 3rd and 24, 4th and 24. And you're on I think you're on Texas Southern's 25. Oh, yeah. Because you were on, it was like right at the goal line and things like that. So you had, if you would have got the 1st down, you'd have been like 1st and goal on the 1. And you decide to go for it. That I have no idea. You didn't even try to kick the field goal with Luke Jackson. That type of stuff is what I'm like, what are we doing? What is Dooley doing?
And you know, when it comes to this, I know a lot of people in terms of the criticism right now, because you have a lot of people, first of all, that were in large support of Dooley getting this job simply because he was a familiar name. He had been a part of Southern for all of those years. When you talk about under Pete Richardson, winning Black College National Championships, SWAC championships at Southern. He goes to Pine Bluff, wins a SWAC championship as an offensive coordinator there. He goes to Grambling State, wins a SWAC championship and an HBCU national championship there. He coached Ben Anderson at UAPB. He coached Devontae Kincaid at Grambling. Then he goes to Prairie View, and in last year, which I thought was just a down year in the SWAC West, his Prairie View team finds a way to get into the SWAC championship, even coming into that game on a 3-game losing streak. And I understand the support and the love for a lot of people in which they have for Dooley, because it's an infatuation of growing up and watching a guy that has been a part of a program that you've grown to love, especially when it had its success and at the height of its success under Pete Richardson. But you have to be able to put yourself to realize the type of program that Southern is. And a lot of people in terms of, oh, well, it was a loss, we'll shake back, we have to go on about our lives, we'll get better. This loss 24-0 to Texas Southern brought about eyebrows is being raised, because when you look at the program of Southern, and it's almost to the point, and I'll make a comparison in a second, but Southern was picked to win the SWAC West. Texas Southern was picked to finish at the bottom. If you look at comparison, let's just say, and this is not a SWAC SEC comparison, but this is a standard comparison. Georgia comes in and they have them picked to win the SEC East, and they go on the road to Missouri or to Vanderbilt and get blanked 24-0. Monday morning, everybody in America is going to raise the eyebrow. Not that you don't believe in Kirby Smart and everybody hyped him up. He comes in from under Nick Saban, all the pageantry under Nick Saban. He knows what it's like to be a part and coach with a championship coach. Everybody's going to ask the question, is something wrong with Georgia if that happens? And so this poses a question for Southern, whether people want to have the conversation or not. Is there something wrong with Southern? Because you look at the level of prestige for this program. You look at the excitement behind the fan base. You look at everything that comes along with this, and this is not something that can just be gone by Monday. We don't talk about it, and then we just go through the bye week and wait to the next game and hope that it gets better. An offensive coach that is off, along as being your offensive coordinator, gets 0 points against a team that has given up 99 points in its 2 previous games and over 700 yards on the ground, has to be talked about. And whether people like it or not, it comes with the territory. This is Southern. It's going to be talked about. And not only is it going to be talked about, it's going to be criticized, because 24-0, we haven't seen a loss that bad since 2012, when we lost 6-0 on a Thursday night game on national television against Mississippi Valley, in which they got Stump Mitchell fired. And it has been that long since we've seen a Southern team play that bad. And for anybody to say that wasn't bad, that was bad football that we saw on Saturday on Southern's part. One thing I will say, the defense did step it up in the second half. They did step it up, but it was just a little bit too late. And it goes back to the coaching, man. You kick those field goals and get yourself in the game with some points. You don't have to be so far behind the 8 ball when you get in the second half to have to force the passing game. You still could have been able to commit to the run game with points on the board and chip away, because Southern had plenty of opportunities in the second half to get themselves back in the game. But it was just disappointing, I think, for a lot of Jaguar fans and just for people, if you like to watch good football. Bashawn McCray comes in on the first possession of the game and throws an interception. Southern makes a drive as we're getting ready to go into halftime, and with about 12 seconds in the red zone, another interception in the end zone. So that's taking away points in which going into the halftime, you could have potentially got a field goal or a touchdown out of that a turnover stop. And directly on the first possession coming out of the second half, you throw another interception. Texas Southern had short field position and was able to take advantage of that, and they chipped away at us. And unfortunately for Southern, we never did get ourselves in the game when I talk about the physical as well as the mental aspect to win this ball game.
Who is Southern at this point in time? Because your last 3 games, and this is why I made this game my game of the week, because I wanted this game to show me what Southern was. Was Southern the 86-0 team? Was Southern the team that fought during LSU? Kind of looked like they were just overmatched, but the quarterback was the problem. I'm still going to say that. I don't care what the score looked like. Bashawn McCray was the problem then. And then you walk into Texas Southern, a team that has been giving up points like Oprah giving out cars, right? And you get goose egg, and you're an offensive-minded coach. That makes no sense to me. So at this point, who is Southern?
I don't know, Scotty. You know, a lot of people wanted to talk to me after the Florida Memorial game about, did you see the receivers? Did you see the way we ran the ball? Did you see the offense that Dooley was brought here to bring to Southern? And I said I saw it, but I just saw it against a competition in Florida Memorial, which I couldn't gauge from. I mean, Southern just outmatched them. It was what it was. You saw the difference in the level of competition. So it wasn't much for me to judge or to gauge off that 86-0 victory. Then we go into LSU, and the game plan, I thought I would have not come out so fast and in a hurry. I would have tried to play ball control, clock possession with that ball game, because with a team like that, a turnover here and there, and it would snowball out of control quickly, and that's exactly what happened. With 5 minutes left in the first quarter, it was already 37-0 due to turnovers, due to 3 and outs quick, due to a fumble, due to an interception. And for me, you put yourself behind the 8 ball quick, fast, in a hurry. We saw the same recipe of disaster against Texas Southern. You come out that same format, and it puts you behind the 8 ball early. I don't know what this Southern team is, and that's why I'm on here right now. That's why we're having this discussion, because everybody's scratching their head on what happened. For the second consecutive week, Southern goes into a halftime having not scored a point.
So this is the thing for me, right? And let me open these call lines up, right?
You are the only participant in the conference. All participants are muted.
How do you look worse? You've gotten a new coach, new staff, new players. You ran Jimmy Rollins out because he said it was no discipline. He couldn't win. He couldn't do anything. He plays Texas Southern 10 times better.
Who's Jimmy Rollins?
Jason Rollins, Joseph Rollins, Mr. Interim. Let me say that, Mr.
Put some respect on the man's name, man.
Jason Rollins. I apologize. I call him Jimmy for short. But Jason Rollins, right? So the interim coach plays this game 10 times better, but you come into a year where you have all these high expectations, and you literally don't score anything with an offensive-minded coach with a talent on roster that anybody looking at it on paper would say, woo, 48-20, 48-14. This should be an easy one. But at the end of the day, you don't want to take accountability. How can Coach Dooley get on a coach's call and say it had nothing to do with Texas Southern and how they played, but we didn't play Jaguar football. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Take this when you talk about the run game. I gave you all those stats in terms of the numbers that Texas Southern has given up running against Prairie View and North Texas. In that very first game against Florida Memorial, Southern ran for 397 yards on the ground, almost 400 yards. You've shown that you have success there. But against Texas Southern, you're only, a little bit over 150 yards rushing in the game total. And you have to ask the question. I think what really begs the question is to see that zero and see that man standing there coaching right there on that picture, knowing he's an offensive guy. That's what he was brought here to do, to boast a huge offensive passing game and to elevate our running game, and the fact that we weren't able to score a point.
Now, you hear the rumors because you know what happens with losses, right? You know, the murmurs, the chirping, everybody said, I knew, you know, everybody. Let me get that. Andrew, buddy.
Hey, let me tell you this. I went out to the middle of the field after the game. I shook nobody's hand, but I be real, man. I can take an L. I'm one that I can take an L. I walked right up to number one, and I shook his hand. I said, man, you keep doing your thing, man. You put the team on your back. That's what you want to see out of a young man. I'm a Southern fan, but I can respect when I see somebody doing what they have to do, man. I thought Andrew Body did what he had to do as a leader of that team. I didn't think Texas Southern was going to have much to help him out that day. I thought Andrew Body was going to probably have a tough day, especially with Jordan Lewis on his back. And you saw that in the second half with Southern's defense. They started to rattle. He didn't have as much success anymore, but I had to shake the man's hand and tell him, man, hey, keep doing your thing. I looked him right in his eye, man, hey, you balled out today. And for the second consecutive year, you can say you 2-0. Now, for Southern fans, let me tell you this. A 24-0 loss to Texas Southern is embarrassing. As much as I shook Andrew Body's hand and congratulated him, there's a difference when you look at the standard when you talk about Southern football and when you talk about Texas Southern football. We're not talking basketball. We're talking football. And when it comes to that, you don't get blanked by a Texas Southern team 24-0, their first time holding Southern down to 0 points in 50-plus years. 51 years. The last time was 1971. So, I mean, you start to put all this together, you realize how it doesn't resonate well, and you have to put a question mark when you say, who is this Southern team? Who is Southern? This puts the question mark. I don't know. You know, I thought I knew. I thought I had a good idea of what it was, but in the same sense, we got to be held accountable because we had that same mindset. As I walked out of Veterans Memorial Stadium during that spring game, Southern had just whooped up on Jackson State. Talking about whooped them up. Physically dominated Jackson State. And when I left out of that game, Jackson State fans, as I was talking, I'm a trash talker. Especially if I'm in Mississippi and I'm walking out of that stadium with a victory, I got a lot to say. And I had a lot to say that day. And something I realized with Jackson fans, you know what they kept telling me? Wait till the fall. Yes. Wait till the fall. So as I'm hearing that, I'm waiting till the fall. I'm like, man, you know what? Y'all just hype. I thought, how delusional. You get your butt kicked and you going to sit here and tell me, well, that's not his players. Wait till he get his people. Wait till the fall. So I'm ready to laugh. Jackson State finds success. I waited till the fall. What did they do? They won a SWAC championship. I saw improvement as it continued to go. They said he got his guys in a short period of time. He was able to make his adjustments and make the things work that he needed to work to find success. Out of the spring game, even with the hiring of Coach Eric Dooley, the excitement was there. Oh, we got one that's coming home. He's coming back. The fanfare was there. Pete Richardson was there at the when he got introduced as the head coach. They gave him a medal, put a Southern hat on his head, and he talked about the beauty of bringing back former players, reigniting the Jaguar Nation, and getting people to support and give back to the program like they never have before. And people bought into that, especially the people who've been around since the 90s, the early 2000s, and were there for those championships. They bought into that. We go into the spring. A lot of people say, well, there's still a lot of players held over from Dawson Odom's team. A lot of players that Jason Rollins really couldn't find success with during his interim year and why Southern only won 4 games. Eric Dooley's going to change that. Wait till he get his guys. He recruited his guys in. You saw that heavily Saturday who his guys were.
Facts.
And the idea was that same notion. Wait till the fall. Here's a guy that they believe have found success at Prairie View, has had a success as a offensive coordinator, and we suspect instant success, or if not instant success, some form of, if we're not just going to be leveled, that you'll slowly see the trajectory go up. And you saw that when they voted Southern to be the SWAC West champs. Why do you think that? A large part is because of that man that's standing right there, Eric Dooley. That's exactly why. A lot of people bought in and believe that Coach Dooley can go in there and do something with Southern, especially with the talent that they have there and with his track record of being able to bring in talent. And when you go into a game against an opponent that's picked to be the worst in the SWAC West at the bottom, to not have any success and allow them to dominate you the way that they do, man, you got to scratch your head and look at that guy that's standing there in that picture and say, what went wrong? What happened? And Southern fans, as a fan base, we overly excited. We were happy. Did I think championship? I did, because the notion that I wanted everybody to understand, I still believe in a year one with a coach coming in.
Yeah.
I still believe in it. A guy fully has to do his thing, but we live in a world of instant gratification. We live in a world of instant success. And I think a large part, especially for Southern fans, I thought Dawson Odoms may have made this look a little too easy. I thought getting to a championship but not winning it had a lot of fans saying, well, let's get somebody else. If Dawson can do it, we sure know Eric Dooley can do it. And it's still out to be seen. But I just know a 24-0 loss to Texas Southern does not seem championship caliber to me.
All right, let's take some of these callers. Smash, coming to you. What's up, Smash? You live?
Man, look, what's popping, Doc? First thing, Perry, you preaching, man. You preaching, bro. You saying some good stuff for real. And like on the sideline, I called Scotty early. You know what I'm saying? Man, you was talking about a lot of stuff that we just seen in the first quarter of the game that just wasn't Southern football. Like even before they start scoring and before everything started happening, it just was like, damn, what is this team? You know what I'm saying? And I'm a Southern fan through and through. You know what I'm saying? Win, lose, draw, I'm supporting Southern. I don't care how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, everything is facts. Like, you know what I'm saying? We brought Dooley in. You know, we changed it. You know, offensive-minded guy. This Texas Southern, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, everybody did a good job. The ball was balling. It was most of, to me, of Southern messing up than Texas Southern doing good. Everybody did his thing. You know, I ain't saying he want to get everybody felt, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He did his thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm asking the question myself, like, what the fuck is Southern football? So it's a matter of, I want to see. Maybe people saying, you know, they bring up against the LSU game, they get trying to hear. If that's the case, cool. Next man up. From how they played last week, next quarterback, give him a try in this game. You know what I'm saying? Next man up. Give everybody a try in this game. Everybody, the starters, you know what I'm saying? They didn't show up. So my thing is, I don't know if they need to regroup, but we still got faith in the team, and we know the players on the team can do the job. Man, look, give the next person a try or start over. But what they played last week, that wasn't it, Doc. And Perry, we called it early, dog. I'm talking about from the simplest things. I don't want to talk about it, but you know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't Southern football, and I got bad vibes when I first looked at the sideline. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what this is, but I'm rooting for them, man. I hope they get it together. But let me just call it first SWAC game jitters. I don't know what it was, bro, but that wasn't Southern football at all. But all right, Doc, that's my time.
Appreciate it, Smash. Let me ask you this, Perry. Should one? I'm getting. What really bothers me is this, right? One player, if you're an offensive-minded coach, one player can't dictate your whole offense. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. If you're going to hold up. Like if you're going to, if like you said, going back to that standard, Southern's picked to win the West, Texas Southern's at the bottom. One player cannot, like you telling me you can't run an offense that is successful because one player isn't what you want him to be. That's kind of hard. Even though that player might be a quarterback, you knew what he was when you placed him. So I saw after the LSU game, I'm like, hey, this guy ain't it. This guy ain't it. And people was like, Scotty's Power 5. And I'm like, hey, this guy ain't it. So
but he's Dooley's guy. This is who he brought in. And when you talk about one player and having that success, Dooley is known to have that. Ben Anderson at UAPB won him a SWAC championship. Not only did he do that, he was the offensive MVP. Devontae Kincaid at Grambling. You know, I don't think it was necessarily the play calling of what Dooley drew up. I think it was the ability of those quarterbacks to extend plays and do the necessary magic that they bring with the ball in their hands. You know, and he had Jalen Morton at Prairie View, a baller, absolute baller. What was my guy, Jawan Pass last year? Was he the best? He wasn't. But you saw how much Dooley. But I was surprised when I look back at that SWAC championship game when Dooley pulled them.
it was
Because you saw that same trajectory.
Yeah.
It was atrocious.
Yeah.
It was the quarterback putting the other team in position to win.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw again Saturday against Texas Southern. I know we're gonna ride with it. We're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. But I saw similarities in that SWAC championship game in which Prairie View had plays on the field. There were plays to be made and touchdowns to be scored. But because it was so much on the quarterback in the same way we saw Saturday, the quarterback dictated the way the game went. Gave Jackson State short field position here, gave them a pick six. It looked at the same way when you look back at Texas Southern this weekend. And I think something that's going unnoticed, in Dooley's last 7 games, he's 1-6. He had one win against an opponent that was not a Division I opponent, and that's in Florida Memorial. He hasn't won a game nearly since he beat Southern last year that pretty much got him the job at Southern's homecoming. You know, I had never seen a head coach, and trust me, I like Dooley. I like him. I've had conversations with him. I talk. To be critical of somebody don't mean I hate them and don't like them.
facts. It's just facts.
And one thing about when you have these type of conversations, people take the conversation and think because you're saying this, oh, you must be against. You either gonna ride for us or you not with us at all. I'm with Southern all day, every day. But to be critical of somebody, that's what comes with the territory of being a head coach.
Talk to him.
That's what comes with the territory of being in any public position in which people spend money and support and travel and talk noise behind. People live and die by this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to have these harsh conversations, whether you like it or not. Doesn't mean I don't like Dooley. I'm not asking for Dooley to be fired. I'm not on here celebrating Southern's loss. I'm in here to have a conversation and say what the hell happened, because this damn sure wasn't the expectation I thought many had. The fact that we brought him in, and it's not often you see a coach come in being hired off a 4-game losing streak from his previous school.
Absolutely.
And something right now seems to be going on because he's in a slump. I want to know what the slump is, because being 1-6 in your last 7 games, something's going on. And out of those games, 2 bad losses. Here at Southern to Texas Southern,
Valley.
at Prairie View to Mississippi Valley, the game before the SWAC championship. Is it preparation? Is it mental? Or is it stubbornness? I don't know. And a lot of people will say all of it, or some people will pick out and say maybe it could be either one of those. But what I saw Saturday, I can equate to maybe the mental game, and I can equate to some form of stubbornness. I think both of those play hand in hand, and that's not a recipe for success, especially at a program like Southern, whereas you see, you call it the what? What do you call it?
The powerhouse.
And why do you call it that?
Because you guys feel like y'all that good. I don't know.
Exactly. So how can I talk noise and say I'm that good and I'm out here getting blank 24-0 to Texas Southern? I can't quite keep that up the way that I want to keep that up.
Oh, man. Oh, that's good. I love it. Hey, let's get to this next caller. 9868 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
Yo.
What's good?
What up, fellas?
What's good? Where you calling from? What's the name? Where you calling from?
Hey, man, come on, bro. You see the area code. I come from Mississippi.
Talk to me.
I'm here to talk shit. Quick question, though. Real talk. I mean, I know I talked to you before script about this, but, you know, I forgot his name. What is Dooley's record as the head coach right now? Before y'all hired him.
He was, it's funny you asked. I have a picture. Let me see. It wasn't
that great. I know that.
Is it like 21-17?
21-18.
Yeah, 21-18.
Okay. Now, I mean, I'm a serious question. You know, I'm Jackson all day. Why did y'all hire him? I mean, he wasn't like before I ask this question. Like, he went to the SWAC championship game last year. He did, but he went on a down year in the West. Like, real talk, all the West powers were down. Southern was down last year. Brown was down last year. Alcorn just moved to the West, and they were down. And if Alcorn would have been Bethune, he wouldn't even been in that position. But what made y'all think that this guy was the guy to take y'all to the promised land?
You asking me?
Yeah. He asking you, P.
No, yeah. I'm serious.
Okay, so I'll keep it real with you, and let's have this conversation.
I want to get
So there are different generations of Southern fans, right? You got the old school Southern fans who have been around supporting this thing even during the dark years of Southern. When you talk about the 70s and the 80s, those fans went through the dark years. They loved Southern through and through, a pack out of stadium no matter what the record was. But Southern wasn't winning championships.
Yeah.
Then you got another generation that grew up in the 90s that were young and grew up and realized what it was to win championships and be a part of that nostalgia when you talk about the Pete Richardson era. And that brings an excitement because when you grow up as a child and pretty much your whole life growing up throughout the 90s into the early 2000s, all you know is championship contending and winning, you got a certain perception. And because Dooley was a part of that, there's a perception that comes along with that, that if he was a part of that, he must still have that magic with him. And if he got that magic, we remember the great days of what that felt like with a packed stadium, playing for Heritage Bowls, winning SWAC championships, winning HBCU national championships. That comes back with him. And for a lot of people who were there, they saw that and was a part of that. I was not a part of Southern in the 90s. I'm like most people who go to a school where I was a part of that school once I joined that school. So I didn't grow up around Southern. I didn't grow up in the 90s of seeing the Pete Richardson era and through the 2000s and seeing all of this success. I saw it from afar because I grew up around UAPB. So I saw a lot of SWAC schools. My mom graduated from there. So that's where I got my HBCU experience, by going to these games and these classics and watching these teams. So I saw Southern from afar. I know how influential a Bayou Classic is and how big that was to sit down and watch that. The Bayou Classic is the reason why I came to Southern. It was that experience. It was that excitement. But I'm part of a generation where when you named Eric Dooley as a head coach, I can't resonate with most Jaguar fans that will defend and go to bat for him and think what I'm doing is being negative, because it's not, as being critical. But I don't have that same heart-to-heart feel of the 90s and the early 2000s the same way that they do. Now, today, do we all like Southern University the same? We do. But I think the decision-making came from people who were around during that time of that nostalgia in which they felt that and they associated that with Dooley. Me, because I wasn't here, I don't associate that with Dooley because I wasn't here to be a part of it. I'm a new age Southern fan. And like I said, there's different generations. But to be a fan don't mean I have to be in compliance with every other generation that are fans too. I'm a fan of the now, of the moment. And I think when you ask that question about what made them make that decision, you had a torn fan base in which some went with what was old to bring into the new, and some wanted new and just move on with something that we don't even know.
That's real. Let's take another caller. 9075 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
Yeah, caller. Yeah, this is KC Sweets. I'm a Prairie View graduate.
What's up?
And we had Coach Dooley for several years, and we used to beat Texas Southern when he was there. And why I'm saying is sometimes a coach could be a better fit at the place he stayed at. And then the other young guy, I want to tell him, I don't know what your classification is. I want to tell him, nobody's this whole conversation today, nobody's talking about y'all had a really good coach, but y'all squeezed him out because he didn't look the charismatic part, and that was Coach Odom. Y'all let Coach Odom go. He was a very good coach, but because y'all got into this beauty contest, so to speak, y'all let the quality coach get away. So I think I have no sympathy for the Southern fan base right now because y'all had a great coach, but y'all thought the grass was greener on the other side, and that's all I have to say. Appreciate and good work, Mr. Scotty. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Well, I know, Perry, I know you. Hey, listen, I know you feel the type of way about Odom.
Well, I do this, and I think this is something that's hard to digest as us as supporters of Southern. In actuality, Dawson Otis is the third best coach to ever coach at Southern when we talk about modern times. And I got to go back. We talk about A.W. Mumford, then you went through the 70s and the 80s of trying any and everybody.
Yeah.
Then you come out of the 90s, and then Pete Richardson reignites a fan base that's already excited with the pride. But now you get the wins to go along with it. You add the championships to go along with it. And when you have that for about 10 years, of course, 10 years of success, anybody will consider themselves the powerhouse, as you call us. And then you go out with Pete Richardson, and a lot of people didn't like the way Pete had to leave and what happened. And you see Southern making up for it a lot now in terms of the love that Pete get. They named the field after him. They have a classic named after him. Pete does color with the play-by-play in terms of the broadcast. You see a lot in terms of praise in Pete Richardson, so that lets you know how much love it is for him. But then you come out and then you have Stump Mitchell. Stump stays for about 2.5 seasons after that 6-0 loss to Valley. And then here comes Dawson Odums. Dawson Odums won a championship for him, found instant success in 2013 with Stump Mitchell's players.
Wow.
But I think he used the recipe of what was there and just took it. We had Dre Joseph, Lee Doss, Willie Quinn, Leonard Tillery, and a host of guys that won that championship. He goes to a championship again in 2014. And let's not forget what happened in 2014 for Southern, because that began the era of APR when we went to UL. The same issues that we saw Florida A&M deal with this year as they headed to North Carolina with ineligible players and issues. Southern saw that same issue. That's just the real. And to have a guy still find his way to go to a SWAC championship that year. Then after that, you look at a few years of no spring practice, limited scholarships. And I put a lot of respect on Odoms off the simple fact he was able to do that building preferred walk-ons as well. Development of football players as the years went on. And why we were limited, because people don't realize how big APR really should have hurt Southern. Other schools like UAPB and others dealt with APR, and it almost wiped them out. And so that take a lot to have a guy to get you through that gauntlet, still find success. His worst SWAC conference record was in 2015 at 5-3. At this point, Southern couldn't even receive transfers because we had to focus on not recruiting the most talented players, but we had to recruit talented players along with academic side. And I know people will say, well, isn't that the purpose all the time? It is not. When you look at the business of football, you're looking at who's the best player. You typically in this business, you're not worried about this guy got a 4.0 and he can knock a head off. Let's be real.
That's real.
So to have a guy navigate through that and still find us in the championship hunt every year, as much as people don't like those losses in the SWAC championship, getting to a championship is not easy.
Facts.
Jackson State fans, I know y'all on here. You had to learn that when you treated Rick Comagee the way that you did. Comagee went to SWAC championships. It was tough for a Jackson State fan to have to deal with 2012 with Ben Anderson and Coach Eric Dooley winning that championship at Legion Field the way that they did. It was tough for Jackson State fans to have to watch Southern and Dawson Odoms win that championship in 2013 because they players stepped out of bounds trying to think he was going to get that, a touchdown, two-point conversion, whatever it was. Yeah. It cost the game. And then they looked at Rick Comagee and said, well, Rick, this is Jackson State. If you were able to do it, we're going to go find somebody the same way Southern did that's close to the program, that knows our tradition and history and knows what it's like to be a Tiger. And they had to suffer for that for about 10 years of rotating guys that they thought were directly in line to the glory years and the glory days of what Jackson State football meant, and realize what Rick Comagee did, whether you like it or not. He made it to championships, and you had to go through 10 years to realize it's not easy to get to a championship.
I like that. All right, let me take another caller, and then I'm have a few more questions for you. Dre, coming to you, 0284. What's up, Dre? Talk to me.
Hey, what's up, man? I got a question for the person from Southern. Do you think what's the old head coach, the legend that's still around?
Ask that again. Somebody tried to call me. Ask that.
He said, "What legend are you talking about?"
I said, the Pete Richardson. There we go. Do you think Pete Richardson has too much influence on the football program? Because I know that's his guy. That's his pick. And, sometimes we see what happened with Nebraska bringing somebody back who was a legend at the school, won at the school, couldn't win and everything. And, do you think he has too much influence on that? And what's the leash I'll give Dooley?
Now, I will tell you, my thought process might be different from the ones I told you from a different generation. This is a generational thing when we're talking about Southern, and I don't quite fit into the older generation or through the 90s and the early 2000s that would give you a different perspective from my perspective.
Yeah.
I became a part of Southern in 2010, so I'm about 12 years in as a fan. There's nothing wrong with that, though. People become fans at different points. But I think a fan base that's probably older in terms of being a part of Southern, maybe here in the 90s and the 2000s, will give you a different perspective. I don't think Pete Richardson has a overly, in terms of his influence in saying, hey, get this guy. I think it was what Pete Richardson did is the influence that has people making decisions. It's not necessarily Pete Richardson sitting in there saying, I think we need to hire this guy. I think it was about who worked with Pete Richardson that made them decide to say, hire this guy. Now, for me, when you talk about what's the leash in terms of Eric Dooley and what I would give him, I would say I looked at 3 years because I know what kind of offense Dooley wants to run, and I know what kind of offense Odoms was running. And I know we had a transitional year in which it was just hard to deal with when you had Jason Rollins as an interim. So you got that gap in there to where I know for Dooley to be successful for what he wants, he's going to need time to get those direct guys in. And that was my personal belief. I thought I didn't have a lot of faith in year one. I wasn't screaming championships, and that's me personally. I wasn't screaming championships. I felt it was going to take time, but I think most Southern fans were screaming championships because Dooley comes from that. Southern wants that back. Odoms took us to championships and we lost, and you culminate it all together. I think that made it to the point. And then picking Southern to win the SWAC West at SWAC Media Day, if it could have blew the head up any bigger, that's what did it. It made everybody believe not only in Dooley, but the team that's here in the recruiting classes. So it made instant success for a lot of fans. And so for me, I say 1 to 3 years. Most fans will say, hell, give him how much of a time maybe it needs. I don't know.
This is my thing, and I'm gonna say something, then I'm gonna go back to a caller. This is my issue when it comes to Dooley and being an offensive-minded guy. I've been around enough offensive coaches, right? And you have the ones that are egocentric to where they like, hey, I do what I do. But if the game is about winning and you see that you have to change up, you have to do something different. I'm sorry. I just can't subscribe to the notion that I'm a thrower. We going to throw it. I think the great offensive minds know how to adapt to their talent. That's what makes you a great offensive mind. And I got to give Willie Simmons a lot of credit. And I don't really, I always say he can't win the big game, and I stand on that. But when he realized after that Jackson State game, he's like, hey, Rashawn McKay ain't it. We can't throw the ball like I did with Ryan Stanley. Let me give Bishop Bonnet let me run my team through the running game, and we'll go from there. I need to see Dooley be an offensive-minded guy to say, hey, I don't think my quarterback is it. I might need to lean on Gerard Sims a little bit more. Ethan Howard, where the hell was he at? You know what I'm saying? Lean on those guys and then run my team that way until I get the guys that I have to bring in to really run the system that I want to run. There should be no excuses to that. I get building a team is different, but just to intentionally keep hitting your head against a wall that you know is not going to come down without going around it, that's my biggest issue. But I want to ask you this question, right? I really want to ask you this question. October 8th, he stepped PV and Southern. If he loses this game, because mind you, you just said the reason he got this job is how bad he beat Southern with PV for homecoming. If he turns around and loses this game, what's the narrative?
You want my narrative or what you think
Give me both. Give me your narrative and then give me Southern Jaguar Nation narrative.
Well, my narrative would be I guess I would have to look at what kind of loss. If it's a 24-0 loss like we did with no offensive performance, I would have to scratch my head and say what really was going on here. I would think at that point I have to raise a red flag that a championship caliber team in which was picked to win the SWAC West is now struggling through the SWAC West. Losing to Texas Southern and maybe a loss to Prairie View. At that point, that's not giving me contention to go to a Celebration Bowl or competing for one. Yeah. Did I think Southern had that in year one? Me personally, no. I felt there was going to need some time for Dooley. But for the fans and a lot of people who did believe that, because like I said, that nostalgia of where Dooley come from, in which I don't quite resonate with them when it comes to that. For that part of the fan base, I don't know what the hell they're going to say. At that point, they may say, let's give him time. At that point, I think the high will come down and realize maybe it's not what we thought in year one. I don't know if that answers your question directly, but for me, it's going to raise red flags because I think this team is better than that.
Listen, and I hate to say stuff is must win. I really hate to say stuff is must win. Especially a first-year coach. But to me, this is my issue. The cupboard was not bare at this school. That's my biggest issue. The cupboard was not bare when you got to this school. You had a Jordan Lewis. You brought over Jason Dumas. You added Trey Lang. You added 3 all-conference defensive backs. You already had Gerard Sims. You had a Kobe Dillon. He's hurt, but I understand. I think the only room that I could truly say was you got to do something with was the wide receivers.
Well, Scotty, let's wait before we get to Prairie View. Pine Bluff is the next opponent.
And listen, I'm glad you said that because we're going to do a schedule review, but I'm gonna take a call that they've been waiting for a long time. Coach Green, coming to you. Hey, Coach Green, you live.
What's up, man? Hey, my question was, what's going on with Kobe Dillon?
He's hurt.
What about Ethan Howard?
That I don't know.
I know last I heard, he was dealing with something maybe towards the injury as well.
Okay. I was just wondering. The thing I'm going to say is, one thing a lot of people sitting there forgetting about, because I know everybody, look at how Texas Southern lost to PV. But I watched them play both PV and I watched when they played North Texas. They did get better. I'm gonna say this. I'm not giving Dooley no excuse for how we lost that game. I ain't gonna give no excuse. But we gotta give Texas Southern some props because they have improved. Because they played 2 tough teams. PV defense is tough. And North Texas, FBS. And from PV to North Texas, they have improved. But we shot ourselves in the foot, man, because them 3 interceptions was big, plus giving them in field position. Field position was the key. And like you said, we should have stuck with the runs a little bit more. We should have stuck with it. Sims should have got more touches, I felt like. And I felt like we should have went ahead and kicked them field goals. I think he was being stubborn when he going for it on 4th down. He was being stubborn because he felt like he just I don't know what he felt like, but he shouldn't have went for it on 4th down. He should have went ahead, took the field goals, and let us chip away. That's what I felt like.
I appreciate the call, Coach Green. Let me take this other caller real quick.
Hey, Scotty. I think another thing, too, a lot of people, when they look at this type of conversation that we have, for some reason, I don't know why people want to take it as something that's bad or negative, but when you in this light, this comes with it. The program that we are, we are a program. And if this happened on any other day, like I said, if Georgia was to go lose to Vanderbilt, Georgia can't control everybody wanting to ask the question of what's going on at Georgia. It's just, it is what. Now, Vanderbilt went on the road and lost to Georgia. Nobody's going to talk about Vanderbilt. Had Texas Southern lost against Southern Saturday, nobody was going to be like, what happened to Texas Southern?
That's what kills me, right? Is because it seems like everybody in the country understands what comes with sports but HBCUs. because you have it's like you're talking about your pastor or you're talking about your deacon. Like, bro, he is a football coach that gets paid to win football games. And when you put when Dion stepped foot into HBCU, he brought a light that shows your deficiencies. And your deficiencies are you guys don't like criticism. Like, you have a hard time taking criticism. Like, coaches have to do, listen, Hugh Jackson and Dion don't have a problem taking questions because they've been dealing with it their whole career, right? Hugh Jackson being a coach, he's always have to deal with questions after bad losses, going 1-15, going 0-16. He had to deal with questions every single freaking game. Why didn't you do this right? Why didn't you do this right? Talking to Blue. He talking to Blue a couple days ago. He said if his Auburn coach loses another game, he might be gone. And you got to deal with those questions. But everybody seems when it comes to HBCU world is like they're bigger than asking questions. I'm bigger. No, you're not. You're not bigger than a fan base wanting to have answers to why you're playing bad. You're not bigger than that. You're getting paid because of that. Oh, kill my nerves. 3063 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
What's up, Scott? It's your boy Smoke.
What's up, Smoke? Talk to me.
I got a question for you. Let's put you in the position of an athletic director, right?
Yeah.
You're athletic director. Your job is to live up to the expectations of the university when it comes to the athletic department, correct?
Yep.
The people you hire are expected to live up to the expectations that you set for them as the coaches, correct?
Yep.
Okay, let's ask this question. If you are Southern's athletic director and you set the expectations for Coach Dooley after letting go such a good coach like Dawson Odoms, you get this guy Dooley, he comes in because you feel like he's connected to the university. He comes in and so far Southern isn't progressing the way you thought they were going to. You know, you said let's set a time stamp. You have the director, you say, okay, I'm gonna give him to this time. If he doesn't turn this thing around and live up to the expectations that I thought he should, do you let him go or do you what do you do?
Listen, first of all, Roman Bates is on the hot seat from what I've been told. So let's not even act like he ain't on the hot seat because he should have been fired when he made this hire. I ain't even gonna lie to you because I didn't agree to it. So frat brother, Pete Richardson, all that other little fruity stuff. Nah, bro. This hire. Anybody who knows me and said he should not. Dooley shouldn't have been hired. Point blank. Period. I stood on that back then. I kind of wavered because I like what he was bringing in and stuff like that. So I kind of jumped on the train. I was like, let's see how this works. But I want to stand. I'm standing firm that I said in the beginning he shouldn't have been hired. But this is my thing, right? I don't even know if Roman Banks is going to be around to make the decision again to even fire him, if I'm being honest. But but all things being equal, I got to give Dooley 2 years. 2 to 3 years. That's it. Like they're like, bro, because this is my thing. I honestly believe that the cupboard was not bare at Southern. It was not. Like you came in with a good, solid core base for a team. You know what I'm saying? And you being an offensive-minded guy, you should be able to be competitive in the SWAC. I'm just sorry. It just doesn't make sense to me. But go ahead, Perry. I'd give him 2 to 3 years. That's it.
I already stated that. I said that's what initially where I was at. I went with 3 years just because I understand it. Remember Arkansas. Brett Bielema came into Arkansas and was a run-heavy guy. Had the biggest offensive line of any football team in the country. And that's why I don't know how much people in here really follow football, but the Razorbacks, Arkansas Razorbacks hired Brett Bielema from Wisconsin. My bad. Somebody trying to call me. Brett Bielema was a run-heavy team. Then they hired the former offensive coordinator, Chad Kelly. I believe that was Chad Kelly. That was from Clemson. He was at SMU. They hired him. He's a Dooley offense type of guy. Fast tempo offense, get it down the field. Nobody going to be able to keep up with us because, hey, we're going to be moving this rock, right? And he got his claim to fame being the offensive coordinator at Clemson. Well, I knew early on I didn't have as much as I thought Arkansas perhaps in the SEC could get talent and win. I knew transitioning from a run-heavy team to a team that's going to be – you can't move up the field fast with the biggest O-line in football. You can't run quick, fast tempo offense with the biggest. And so I realized that with Arkansas, as they went from Brett Bielema to Kelly, I believe that was his name. I may have his name.
Chad Morris,
excuse me. I'm calling him Chad Kelly. Chad Morris. I knew what Chad Morris needed and wanted to do. So when I saw that, I said, man, it's going to probably take that guy about 3 years once he cycle those guys out and get at least 2 recruiting classes in to fit his style. I feel that same way with Dooley. I mean, he had a short period in this spring to bring in guys. I understand that. When guys, you should have been recruiting in the fall. Southern lost some recruits because of that, and Southern gained some recruits because of that. So some guys came here and was committed to Dooley. So with all respect to that, I understand. I'm not questioning and asking Dooley to be fired. I'm not saying anything about Dooley, but 24-0 is a red flag, at least for me. But I think it's going to take us some time. I didn't have a big, huge expectation. When I saw SWAC Western Division to pick first at the SWAC West, I was like, whoa. That's how I looked at it. For me, I was just like, damn, that's a lot of respect on Dooley. And that's simply what I equated it to. A Southern team that went 4-7 last year with a team that was supposed to be a run-heavy team. And we tried to pass the ball last year.
Yeah.
With Zach Grassi as our offensive coordinator. And we didn't have a lot of success. Our success came by way of the ground. And so when I knew Coach Dooley coming in, and he's going to not be so much of a ground and pound, but air it out guy along with complemented with the ground, in my head, I had a perspective the same way I saw with Arkansas. I knew it's going to take some time for this guy to get his people in. So instant success was not in my mind in year one, talking about a championship, winning in SWAC West. I was like, I'm cool as long as we have an above 500 record. At least he's showing me steadiness, and now we can build off of that.
All right, this is one thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to take another caller. He said it's a bad loss, but it's one game if he wins the rest. If he wins the rest, then you'll be happy. This is the thing with this is like a stupid ass question. Like, of course you're going to be happy if he wins the rest of the games. Listen, man, I'm a Cowboys fan. It was all hands on deck after we lost Dak Prescott. We lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We come back. We win against the Bengals. It's peace in Dallas right now, okay? For 1 week, there's peace in Dallas. That's what makes sports. Stop asking dumbass questions.
Of course, I'm going to be happy if we win the rest of the games. Hey, I'm going to be on here with my – do I need to go get my pom-pom? I got a pom-pom. I'll show you what it will be.
It's a dumb – what if he wins the – they're going to be happy.
And look. And so, look, this is the purpose of having these conversations, because behind any tough loss, you have critical conversation. Even Nick Saban has to get in front of the media. I mean, even though he won against Texas, that close loss brought a lot of criticism to say, you should not have even played close with Texas. You're Alabama. What's going on? And that just comes with the territory. Now, if Nick Saban win the rest of the game in blowout fashion, that's cool. This is not to say Southern going to lose the rest of his game. It's just to say, hey, Southern, what's going on?
What happened? Exactly. All right, 6788 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself, sir?
My name is I'm Sunbelt 06. I watch your show a lot, man. I like what you're doing. I went to Southern. My whole family graduated from Southern. So I've been there. I started in 96 in Southern, so I know what he was saying about as far as with the 90s.
Yes, sir.
And everything. I remember when Dooley was on the staff with Pete. And I would assume that they hired him just to try to get more kids out of Louisiana, because he's from New Orleans, to try to help get some of those kids to come over. But I honestly think that they should have hired Marshall Falk. I didn't, like the guy stated earlier, Dooley, he should have just stayed where he was, you know, and that for us to lose to Texas Southern like that, 24-0, that kind of, you know, but I understand the fact of facing the heat. So I give him 2 years too. I don't even give Roman another year, to be honest with you. I think he'll be going at the end of this year.
Let me ask you, sir, you've been around. When you heard the Dooley talks and bringing Dooley back, what was your initial reaction aside of Marshall Falk, but just isolating on Dooley? What were your reservations about bringing him in?
I was a little concerned. I knew the offense was going to be there, but I just thought that, hey, as long as he's been doing it, I don't see any changes in the offense. People were going to catch on to it and what he was doing anyway. I don't think, honestly, I think Odoms was doing a great job. It's just he kept everything the same. Like, I felt embarrassed when the coach at FAMU said, oh, we've been playing that guy for years, and I know what play he's going to run. And this and that, because he was the coach at Prairie View. So that was embarrassing for us because I was like, yeah, it was the same play. So my reservations, I was a little kind of hesitant with that hire. I hope he pulls it out. I mean, right now it doesn't look like it, but
listen, we shall see. You know, like I said, it's week by week. You know what I'm saying, game by game, see how it turns around. But thank you for the call, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Have a good.
Hey, David, coming to you. What's up, David? Talk to me.
What's up, Scotty? What's up, Perry, man?
What's up?
I was at the game on Saturday, bro, and I was at the game on Saturday. It was a nice turnout. Other than the heat, you know, with it being hot in the stadium, but when you in the red zone like 4 out of 5 times, bro, and you get stopped you get stopped for the first 3 downs. You got to play for the points. So I'm going for the field goal. You do not have a slouch in a field goal kicker in Luke Jackson. The dude can make 40, 50-yard field goals if he wanted to in his sleep. You should have capitalized on that. At least you would have, you could have at least chipped away at the lead, because at the time you was down 14-0. You was down 14-0 still with some minutes left in the first quarter. Like Bashawn McCray, man, bro, I'm with you, Scotty. I didn't see nothing special about him as far as him being the starting quarterback. I didn't see too much of anything special, other than he can run the ball. But he was, like you said, he keyed in on one receiver, didn't look out on, didn't look defense off and keying on another receiver, didn't do any kind of check downs or progressions with his reads and stuff like that. And that's why you got picked off 3 times. One of them was a tip pick, and it could work for a touchdown. But just having that type of, with that type of loss. Hey, Perry, what do you think the morale, how you think the morale of the team is right now with that loss, especially with a loss like that being 24-0, being a shutout that they haven't been shut out by Texas Southern since 1971?
Hey, appreciate the
What
call.
do you think they have to do?
No, finish your question.
No, I was just saying, what do you think they have to do just to get the team up? But that's my question, though.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
What I would like to see from this team, just from what I saw Saturday, that I think could help this team get back on track. Because it's not saying it's the end to the season. It's just saying what the hell happened.
Yeah.
But to get this team back on track, I think this team is going to need some leadership in the locker room. I think, like I said in preseason, this team got a lot of new pieces. There's a lot coming at this team fast, and this team still has to gel together. And I think when you talk about gelling together, that comes down to the leadership role. I think within that locker room, there's going to have to be some real leaders of this team to have to step up and say, we better than this. Collectively, when we look at the talent in this room, we know there's no damn way we should be losing 24-0 to anybody, let alone Texas Southern, but to anybody. I mean, it's just the real to it. I mean, we need that leadership. And what I saw a lackluster effort. I didn't see much energy. I think as well as you look at this coaching staff still gelling together at a new program. I think when you look at being new, you're still working out the things of having something new. And I think right now with this program, you're seeing new and it's still having to work itself out, but we expecting for it to be better, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like I said, we like microwave. This is the microwave generation. Instead of taking the time and putting it, it's certain things you can put in the oven. It may take 45 minutes to do. And there's certain things you can take that same thing and put it in the microwave and it'll be done in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. What's going to happen, the quicker it is, the less quality it's going to give you. You put it in the oven, it gets to cook a little bit better. You get better quality. And I think right now, let's take a step back and realize with a program, this may not necessarily be the microwave fix, especially when you got a guy coming in and you know his style of football, and you know Southern did not run this style of football last year. And although he brings his guys in, it's going to take some time for this thing to gel, and I think that's going to start with leadership in the locker room.
All right. I like it. I like it. Let me get this caller. 8875 coming to you. Caller, you live.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
What's your name? Where you calling
from? PSA. Yeah, this is Shed from Los Angeles, but proud alumni of Prairie View A&M University. Quick PS. Yeah. You already laughed. Quick PSA. I already got $100 on the books. I just wanted to quickly remind you of that. You will be making a $100 donation to PV Athletics for your prognostication of PV ending the season at 4th or worse. I'm here to tell you, PV will not end the season at 4th or worse. That was a horrible bet. But thank you. PV Athletics will enjoy that donation by Scotty. But to my Southern fans, I want you guys to keep the faith. We're waiting for Dooley to come back to PV this year, and I don't want Southern fans, Jaguar fans, keep your morale up. I don't want you to lose faith. I want to see Southern fans fully in the house at Blackshear Stadium to take on PV. Now to Dooley, this is karma. Karma for PV, karma for how he handled that exit to peak from PV. The day after the SWAC championship game, not having a team up and prepped and ready. This is all karma coming back on Dooley, how he handled the team. Speaking of Dooley, the culture at the team was horrible. Thank you for taking Dooley off our hands, Southern University. He did not match the identity of who we were at PV. Although we did excel at times, obviously making it to the Western Championship and representing the Western Division last year in the championship, he didn't represent the identity at the team. The morale and the team identity and culture was horrible under Dooley. So thank you. And I think this is a reflection of what we see at Southern. The identity and the culture of the team. He's very heavy transfer portal. He hides behind great quarterbacks. And I think Dooley has been exposed early on. So thank you for that. Dumas, sorry for that transfer. Dumas should have stayed at PV. I don't know why you would transfer with a pass, high velocity, offensive minded coach, and you're a defensive player. Why would Dumas leave in his last year of eligibility and go to Southern? That was horrible. 4-7 last year with Southern? I don't care what transfer they got or how much you're high on Dooley. He should have stayed at PV. So that was a horrible choice for Dooley. You spoke about recruiting for Dooley in Louisiana. Horrible representation, a horrible reputation amongst of high school coaches. Have you talked to a lot of the high school coaches around the New Orleans area? He is not someone that is highly favorable at in the New Orleans area. Recruiting Louisiana, I'll give you. But recruiting from New Orleans and that New Orleans area, has a lot of bad taste in his mouth with a lot of coaches in that New Orleans area. By the way, that was our issue with him at PV. Not recruiting. Texas football is huge. He never went to recruiting to even look at players in the Texas area. Alumni was constantly on his neck about looking at talent and even just going to see talent at Katy games, going to see these Friday Night Light games around Texas. He would not recruit Texas players. That was one of the major gripes alumni had with Dooley there. So I don't miss Dooley. I'm glad he's over at Southern, which is our rival. We look forward to the game. And those are my quick points on Dooley.
Hey,
let me ask him something.
Go ahead.
He talked this talk. Why did 700 people show up to your last home game going into a SWAC championship?
We had already had that game clinched. That was a bad weather game. Look, Prairie View is a very unique situation when we're talking about Houston and its proximity and being the borders to Houston. Unlike Mississippi and Baton Rouge, we're not a highly populated country town where this is like the main show in town. So we're football. So when you talk about Prairie View, it's too close to the city of Houston. We have Texas Southern close there. We have Rice. We have a lot of college football teams. This isn't the only show in town. So that's always a gripe about TV. And again, we're new to winning. So we're building up the culture of fans coming back to the stadium. We have our new stadium. We're working on that. And that's something that we're working on with the alumni base.
All right. Now, hey, man, listen. I respect all 11 y'all. I appreciate the call, bro. Listen, man, hold on. Talk about. First of all, how can y'all get mad when there's like 10 PV fans and one of them calls in? Like, stop playing, man. Like, I've had guys go way longer talking about foolishness. Like, straight. I got Rocky calling in talking about football. Like, football schools aren't good because they ain't got no white offensive linemen. Perry himself is a long-winded individual. Like, let's not play these games like people don't call. He had some valid points. He was being petty, which I gotta respect. I did say they were. I said they would be fourth. He called in and said, I'm gonna love that $100 donation. So listen, man, you gotta take what you give out. A lot of y'all don't understand that about life. You have to take what you dish, and I'm okay with that. Okay. So shout out to all 11 PV fans. Okay?
I took it. He was hitting me all upside. I took it.
You know what I'm saying? He said y'all took him off. It's like an old girlfriend who was spending all your money. Oh, please. Oh, thank you, God. Like, have her. I don't want it no more. Have her. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's stop. Like, come on, man. Y'all gotta take it. It's all right.
And his views aren't my views, so he has every right to say whatever he wants to say.
It's just that easy, man. Just that easy. You just gotta take. Hey, man. Like, you can't run from it. You gotta take it. 6829. Hey, caller, you live.
What's going on, brother Offscript?
What's up, Pastor Vic?
I came from the mountaintop from the Lord, and he gave me a word for Southern fans on today. I've watched the game at the highest mountain. I've backstroked across the deep blue sea, just so I can see. Hey, Shabbat. Another Southern loss. Listen, brother, it ain't Brother Perry. That's Brother Perry. That's your name, Brother Perry.
That is his name.
That's your name, Brother Perry. I came to give you comfort today. You see, the Bible said, God would humble you in due time, he shall exalt thee. I know that the 86-0 against Florida Memorial Middle School was good. I know that old buddy put up 20 yards at LSU, which was good too. And y'all lost by 50 some points. Amen. But can I ask a question about that Southern game? It wrecked my spirit. It wrecked my spirit. I asked the Lord, I say, what word can I give Southern fans on today? I say, Lord, what can I tell them? I got a little song for you today, and I want to express it. So, this is for you right here. Do Southern got a quarterback who can throw? Southern got a quarterback who can throw. Do Southern got a quarterback who can throw? Southern need a quarterback who can throw. Listen, you need a quarterback who can throw. You need a quarterback who can throw. Who can throw? That's the word of the day. Dooley, get a quarterback who can throw. That's what the Lord gave me on today. Brother Perry, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for the alumni at Southern. I wish you for a back. But I wish I could come back this season. I want you at the championship. I want you at the championship this year. Good God Almighty. All the thing you have to do is for the beat PV and the beat doggone Jackson State. I'm praying for you. God bless you all. But Dooley, get a quarterback who can throw. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Vic. Thank you.
God. That was.
Go ahead. Oh man.
Oh man.
Funny. Funny.
I'm not in distress. Y'all don't got to call and pray and sing to me.
Oh.
I'm not in distress. I'm just having conversation. I don't think it's the end of the world. I just want to have a conversation and say, hey, I saw what happened Saturday. What happened? I'm not in distress. I'm not out here about to jump off the bridge. I'm not about to hang myself. It's okay. I need y'all to realize that out there that's watching and listening. This ain't a hang Dooley moment. This ain't a, oh my God, what we gonna do moment. We're not running around like ants when you kick an ant bed. We okay.
Okay. You won't be okay after this schedule review real quick. Let's go. Let's go to this schedule review. See how okay we after this. All right. So next up, you got UAPB. That's a dub. All right. That's a dub. October 8th.
That's a 50-50. That's a 50-50.
That's a push. Alcorn. That's a loss.
That's a 50-50.
That's a loss. That's a loss. Alcorn, I'm gonna be at that game. That's a loss. All right. Matter of fact, let me not say that because I'm doing jinx picks, so I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want Alcorn to lose.
That's why it's a 50-50. The fact that you even had to retract that, it's a 50-50.
No. The reason I'm retracting is because I'm doing jinx picks and I don't want to jinx Alcorn. You know what I'm saying? So that's something totally different.
Too late. You did it.
I know. I kind of did. Virginia. Thank God y'all scheduled Virginia Lynchburg.
That's a W. What James Winston said, we eat W's that day.
Oh man, this schedule looks better and better. All right, Jackson State, that's an L.
Wait, you're going too fast. Why? Why you just gonna do me like that?
Because y'all can't. Yeah, because it's Jackson State.
Okay,
it's Jackson State.
What about Jackson State?
Y'all gonna lose.
I mean, but just because they name.
Because I had y'all beating them. I see you get blanked by Texas Southern. You ain't got a chance.
That game October the 29th. We got time.
Boy, listen, we
got time, Scott.
You need half of Jackson State not to be at that game. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need Shador to catch monkeypox. You need Sivion Wilkinson to catch COVID. You need the whole defense to listen. They need to be on compliance issues or something. But
you never been to a Southern Jackson State game, have you?
I'm gonna go to the one that y'all losing, and it's gonna be this one.
You never been to a Southern Jackson State game, have you?
Y'all losing, bro. Y'all losing, bro. Right. You're losing. It's okay. It's okay.
Do I agree? No, but that's your opinion. But you ain't never been to a Southern Jackson State game, particularly A.W. Mumford over there in Mississippi, have you?
You're losing. Okay,
FAMU. I just want to make sure.
That's a push.
Who is that?
FAMU. That's a push. Yeah, because
I'm not gonna lie. As much as going to Jackson State, I'll talk noise, man. FAMU's a tough place.
Bragg is tough, but I think that's a push.
That's a tough place.
Valley, that's a dub. Grambling, I don't know. Listen, that Bayou Classic is going to be epic. Okay, it's going to be epic. I think Grambling, from what I see from Grambling, I think I put them in a higher esteem than you. I put them in a higher esteem than you all at Southern. Okay, so but it's still a push because you don't know how the team of
Once again, it's the Bayou Classic. It don't matter. That's one of them other games where one team can come in, the world beater, the other team just hopefully can crawl out the bed, and whoever crawled out the bed that day gets the dub. You never know.
It's back to being a Pop Warner Classic.
Don't talk about the Bayou Classic.
It's back being a Pop Warner Classic. Let's go to my boy Mike. What's up, Mike? Talking.
Yo, Scotty.
What's good, Mike?
Let me talk to Mr. Perry right quick, man.
Go ahead.
Because I just sat on this live and I respected everything he had said about giving his coach time and all this. When we get to the schedule review, you give every team on there respect. But when we get to October 29th, you act like we ain't the best damn defense in the conference.
He said October what?
You act like we just didn't blow out Grambling. You act like we just didn't do FAMU like that. Come on now, Mr. Perry.
October what?
29th, Jackson State.
No, let him say it again. October what?
October 29th.
What's happening that day?
JSU by 40. You let everybody go 21 points and you can't score. What you think Jesus Christ Jr. gonna do to you? What you think Jesus Christ Jr. gonna do to you?
Hey, Mike, hit him with it. Who gonna be in attendance? Who gonna be in attendance?
Yeah, see, Mr. Prayer, right? You used to it. You used to it because we got a rival, that runs deep. But you know what time it is when you come to Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi, very Memorial Stadium, 60,000 blue and white pom-poms. It's beautiful. One accord. Yeah.
Let me ask him this, Scotty. Let me ask him this.
What's up?
How old was he the last time he saw Jackson State beat Southern in Mississippi? Ask him how old he was.
See, hold on.
Answer the question. Answer the question. How old was you?
Same thing. Gremlin was saying the same thing.
I don't care about Gremlin. We're Southern. That's Gremlin.
What's on them? 66.
How old were you the last time you saw Jackson State beat Southern in that stadium?
And that was in the second half. We played Pittsburgh the first half. And we ended up with 60 points, 40-some points in one half. Don't play with us.
He must work outside. He hyped. I know the water shortage in Jackson right now. That ain't nothing to laugh about. But
I was like, man, Perry knows something, man. He giving his coach the benefit of the doubt or whatever. I say he cool. But as soon as we get to October 29th discussion, everything goes out the window. You gave Alcorn a respect. You gave Gremlin a respect. When it comes to JSU, man, you just talking like y'all just coming to Jackson and gonna do the damn thing.
How old were you the last time Southern University lost to Jackson in Veterans Memorial? I'm asking one simple question.
Listen. Gremlin just came with that same argument, bro. We not talking about that thing.
I'm asking you one question, my brother.
2022. That's what we talking about. All that old shit in the past, that shit don't matter October 29th. It do not matter. And Dooley is like, what, 0-7 against Mississippi School?
Damn.
He lost the Valley.
Hey, who
give me one more, Scotty. He lost the Valley.
Who gonna be at the stadium? Who gonna be at the stadium? Mike.
60,000 blue and white pom-pom in unison, one accord.
Please stop this.
Yeah.
Hey, it feel good for once for somebody from Jackson to finally say something.
I'm gonna let y'all get back to talking about Southern business. I just had to get the record straight because you just disrespecting us on this live, man, giving everybody else in the swag their respect. When it comes to Jackson State, man, you just disregarding us.
Who?
When it comes to Jackson State University,
who?
J.R. Lynch Street, you disrespecting us.
Who? What's cool? What he said, Scotty? He breaking up. What he said?
J.R. Lynch Street.
Scotty, he breaking up. I can't hear him. Who?
Oh man.
1400 J.R. Lynch Street. Do I need to send you? Do I need to drop the Apple Pen?
Oh man. Hey Mike, appreciate the call, boy. You stupid. 60,000. Oh man, 1481 caller coming to you. Oh, that was funny.
What's up, Scotty, man? I got to follow up with Mike on that one. This Rigwell from Dallas, but by way of Jackson. I just got to say for Perry, this is for Perry. How you doing, Perry?
What's up, man?
So, I mean, for you to say you were a son of a mom that was a UAPB graduate and, you came on late to the Southern culture, you really fit the bill because it seems as if, it seems as if that's such a Southern thing to do, to always jump to the past when the present not benefiting y'all. And I just don't understand why we keep talking about when the last time Southern lost to Jackson and lost to Jackson State and Jackson. What does that matter? What does that matter to this year? Explain that to me, that argument, because I see it in the chat too, and I just want to hear your thoughts on that argument. What does that do for you?
Are you a Jackson State fan?
Yeah. I see 601, so yeah.
I'm asking him. 601, he could be an Alcorn fan. He could be a Valley. He could be a Southern fan. Southern is in the 601. You a Jackson State fan?
I went to Jackson State. I didn't finish up there, but I went to Jackson State. Yeah.
And you asking me what now?
I said, what's the relevance of going back to what Southern has done with Jackson State in the past as it pertains to this year?
Don't y'all think y'all gonna beat Southern because of what you did last year?
Ooh.
Say what now?
That's a bar. Say it again for him, Perry. I don't think he heard you.
No, I'm looking at what they've done already this year and what Southern has done this year.
The season ain't over, brother. You can be high one day and low the next day. You just got to keep pushing.
I'm just saying. I'm looking at X's. I'm not just being emotional. I'm saying, like, we're looking at this, like, let's look at this football perspective. Okay, if you guys have a viable quarterback, you're gonna find one a week from now. I mean, 2 months from now, or a month from now.
I mean, y'all changed 3 coordinators in 2 months. I'm confused. Like, I mean, like, what are we talking about right now, bro?
I don't know what I think he's trying to trash talk me, but it's just how he's doing it. It's,
no, I just want to get an understanding on why we keep going to the same narrative of what Southern has done with Jackson in the past.
He just asked you a question. He said, don't you think that you're going to beat Southern based off what you did last year?
And the answer was no. I'm basing it off both the teams this year.
Okay.
Southern gonna win. Is that what you want me to say?
I mean, what is he supposed? I mean, like, y'all gotta practice on y'all trash talking because it sucks. Like,
do you think I'm just gonna lay down regardless of what happened Saturday and still not ride with Southern? Do you think all of a sudden that's just gonna make me give Jackson State a W in my book? It is not.
Yes.
I don't give a damn if we come in the game and haven't won a game all season. I'm still pulling for Southern to beat Jackson. That's a rivalry. It's going to always be that way. I don't care what happened 20 years ago. I don't care what happened last night. If we flip quarters, shoot dice, play Monopoly, Southern, I'm still pulling for Southern.
Man, that boy got a real professional picture, but you a real professional trash. You suck at trash talking. We know you talking trash because you sucked at it, Rick. Like, go away. Just go away. He was like, don't be mad. Just go away.
I felt what he tried to do. I feel it. I wanted to do it with him, but he didn't give me the energy to go there.
No different. Like, that's the stuff that be killing me, right? Like, it seems like in every other spot, in every other faction of sports, right? People use old records to bring up something currently, right? So if the Lakers play the Celtics, they'll say, well, the Lakers haven't beat the Celtics in 5 years. They do that all the time in sports. The last time that Memphis has beat the Warriors at home was in 2007. They do that all the time, but somehow, miraculously, it doesn't talk. It doesn't affect HBCU. Why are we talking about that? All the time they do that. So shut up. Shut up. Miss me with that. All right? Just miss me with it. Happens in sports all the time. Shut up. God, that kill me with that. But all right, Perry, final thoughts for Southern, Dooley, everything you talk about.
I just think we gotta ask the question of what happened Saturday. It's worth asking. It's something we haven't seen since 2011 in terms of 2011 in terms of a team being shut out. No, it's 2012 being shut out the way that we were. And I think when you look at a coordinator and a head coach that holds the same role, that's an offensive guy, I think you have to ask the question, how does an offensive guy not get points? Because that's the whole reason of a guy being offensive, to bring points on the board and find success, no matter if he's throwing it or passing it. And I think just for Southern right now, it's not a reason to jump off the ship, but it's a reason to shoot a flare in the air. To say, hold on, there might be trouble. We got to first now assess to see if we're taking on water. But right now, there's a possibility of trouble. But we got a bye week. It couldn't have happened at a better time. I think Coach Dooley and his staff are going to have to find a way to corral these guys and get them together and get them to believe and realize the season not over and to play up to a higher expectation. What I saw Saturday was they played low. The morale was low. The energy wasn't there, and the leadership wasn't there. But moving forward, if we want to turn this season around and get to a point to where we feel success in this season and not have a losing season, we're going to have to find some success. And we're going to have to find it particularly on the offensive side, in which Dooley is a specialist at. And, how he works out with the quarterbacks and the type of schemes maybe this is an opportunity for him to evaluate what he's done so far. It's still early in the season for him. It's 3 games in, but when you don't score a point against a team that's at the bottom of the barrel in the conference in Texas Southern, I got to say something. I think most people going to feel some type of way in terms of something being said, but it can't go swept under the rug because, like I said, if that score goes over somebody's PA system and they say Texas Southern 24, I'm expecting to hear Southern 64, not 0.
That's fair. I'll say this, man. The only game I'm looking forward to is October 8th. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That game, what's your next game?
We got our next game October the 1st against UAPB.
All right, so that game, whatever. Hopefully you look better. Scott, I haven't seen anything at UAPB. I heard Skylar Perry's doing pretty good. They do have a running back that's at running up this. He's been doing some crazy stuff. But October 8th, I'm telling you right now, it's the only game I'm circling right now because to me, you lose that game, your season. I don't care what none of it. Your season is done. I do not care what you're talking about. You lose that game, your season is done. And because you ain't beating Alcorn, and from there, I just think it's gonna be some ass whoopings being handed out. But that's just gonna be that's not gonna be a good look. And I think Dooley needs to be on the hottest of hot seats if you go back to PV and you lose. He needs to be on the hot seat.
It's still year 1, Scotty. You rolling the expectations of everybody else with instant gratification.
Okay.
This makes me ask the question, can we move forward or are we gonna get worse? But still, I don't think a hot seat in year 1.
Sir, I want you to put in perspective of everything that Prairie View had to go through after Dooley left. That they kind of self-sabotaged themselves in a sense, right? They waited super long to hire Bubba McDowell, right? They wait super long. They don't really get a lot of transfers in. They keep their team. They put Conley in. They really didn't have any from what they had last year. They lost Jason Dumas. They lost Drake Cheatham, and they're still looking solid as a solid team. Bubba did know that team. He steps in that role, but didn't really add anybody. No real flashy, nothing. You then take Southern, who hired Eric Dooley right off the bat. He has all transfer period to get his team together. He brings in Trey Lang, Jordan Lewis, JUCO, one of the JUCO players, defensive players of the year, with Greenhouse. He brings in 3 all-conference defensive back players in this defensive back room. He revamps the whole wide receiver room, and you walk into PV and you lose, you suck. You deserve to be on the hot seat. I'm sorry.
He's not going to be on the hot seat.
He needs to be.
We'll be doing the show talking about what the hell happened. But I think year 1.
No, hot seat.
If that's the case, hot seat starts as of yesterday.
No, I would have. Me personally.
I mean, if that's the perspective we going to roll with, hot seat heated up yesterday.
It's getting I'm so serious. Like people talking about stop. No, I'm dead ass serious. You lose to Texas Southern, which PV demolished, and Texas Southern, man, they couldn't stop a nosebleed, and everybody saw it, right? If you look bad against UAPB, it's just going to make it worse. And then if you go into Prairie View and you lose, oh my God, this thing gotta be hot. It ain't got no choice but to be hot.
It's year 1, Scotty. I'm not rolling with the high expectations like you rolling with and everybody else. That's what I'm telling you. You saw SWAC West to finish at the top of the SWAC West. I didn't see that. I was cool with us getting through this schedule and getting us some dubs. I understand time with a coach that's switching. I just made the comparison earlier of what this guy has to do. You know, I don't want Dooley to fail. I'm all about us getting success.
I'll say this. If the real estate agent has a better record than Dooley, he needs to be fired. That's it. I'm leaving it right there. If the real estate agent has a better record than Eric Dooley, Dooley needs to be fired. Fired. Do you hear me? Gone.
All this loss yesterday on Saturday does is let Eric Dooley know we're watching.
I'm saying, okay.
We're watching.
All right.
We're watching. I'm not giving up. I'm not saying get rid of them, but I'm watching.
I'm okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm not taking it as, oh man, we finna. Oh, it's time, man. Fans, show up to the UAPB game. Show up to the rest of these games, no matter what. It ain't over till it's over.
All right. We'll see. We shall see. Hey man, listen, Perry, where can they catch you at?
Man, I do the Jaguar Journal, me and my man Reggie Flood every Saturday morning on 107.3 in Baton Rouge. You can catch us from 7 to 9, as well as you can follow the Jaguar Journal on YouTube, man. All our shows are played back on there. Got some real good guests. I think a lot of you guys would enjoy. And you can also follow, I do another thing called On the Yard Sports, man. We keep up, particularly with other, come on, man.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
And I got On the Yard Sports, man. And you can follow us on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So the Jaguar Journal and On the Yard Sports, man, I do a lot of digital media work and try to promote our HBCUs, not just Southern, man, but all of us, you know. But my vested interest is where I got my degree and where I love dearly is Southern University.
All righty, man. You know, Southern fans at Dooley. Hey. Y'all better get it. You better get it together. All right, man. Listen, you already know what it is. Until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. God bless.